Hello and welcome back to module number 5. Today we're going to discuss several aspects. We're going to talk about zoom as discussed in our chapter in time series. He talks about zoom operation. We are not yet with open source R, but we will soon be, and you will be able to do that. Part or portion of the module today, or the recording, I will talk about part versus the whole and what does it really means. And in the end, I'm going to talk about another platform that is really popular. It's called Plotly. And Plotly is an online dashboard that allows you to upload your data or take other data from other people and to visualize it or analyze it based on what your interests are. And so you will experience it. It is quite powerful, but it's a little bit more tricky. The company is located in Canada, and so they have different set of values that we are accustomed to see. But let's start with a basic review, and hopefully I will make it clear about Plotly and everything that we will cover this class. So far we talked about visual vocabulary. We talked about the points, we talked about lines, about numbers, symbols, words, and all of that is part of the tools or the vocabulary that you use in your canvas. And your canvas is where you're going to generate the visualization. Last time we talked about smooth and rough, and especially when we are talking smooth and rough with regard to descriptive statistics, that the aim of descriptive statistic is to capture how is the distribution layout throughout the data set. And we talked also about that in the context of time series, what time series give us with regard to smooth or rough. We talked about the textbook talks about single moving averages, smoothness, and time series module. All of it part of the discussion about smooth versus rough and how to apply to it. In our textbook, he used zoom in order for us to explore new dimensions. And this is really important. Right now, in the tools that I gave you, we cannot build in the zoom function. We will do that when we will learn open source R. But this is another way of us exploring new dimensions in our visualization. So again, the idea of today's module is the idea of parts versus whole. And you remember that we talked about in descriptive statistics about how we can do averages and what does it tell us and how the idea of it all play out. But one of the things of statistics is the idea of parts and how is the parts reflect on the whole. So example, 3 plus 2 is 5, and therefore we have 5 balls together, but the 5 balls is not mean that the parts are different from one another. So the idea here is that in his eyes, according to our textbook, in his eyes, whole minus part is the simple way to compare things and to evaluate things overall. If we will go outside or look outside the example, your bank online display or dashboard, you will see that usually they express your account based on whole versus parts, income versus expenses, summary versus balance. And so those are the things that we often apply parts to the whole. We also can see it, and again, this is based on a textbook, also can see different type of visualization that capture that. Ranking patterns in the data based on parts to the whole. And again, uninformed is all the values I line up in comparison to other type of visualization that does not show that. And again, this is something that the visualization allowed us to apply or develop in order for us to do that. I'm going back to pie chart, and there's a lot of criticism about pie chart, and it has allowed us to slide the parts of the whole in order for us to show the whole the distribution of the data, and it is usually do things quite too nicely. However, it doesn't allow us, and again, this is something that you need to be very careful about that. Usually it is like to have details what each color represent in order for you to give more detail to the viewer who is new to your visualization and never saw it before. So you need to have a narrative in order for you to do that. So one of the things that the textbook says about that as a result is that it takes a time for us to provide interpretation to pie chart, and especially when we are not familiar and we do not have any idea of what it is and what it consists of, and when it's only consists of numbers, usually it doesn't make any sense. One of the things that he says that best practices is grouping categorical item in a ad hoc manner, and I will explain that in the following slide. Is also talking about part 2 chart and how it allowed us to add another dimension to the visualization, and he talks about re-expressing values in order for us to scale the problems, and using line graph to show the ranking change over time. So those are the things that he focused on the textbook, and let's display that. So the ability to group categorical item and display them together, so the viewer has the ability to see more than one category. This is the key element. How can we apply visualization so people will be able to see not only one category or understand the process of one category into more than one dimension? And in this example, again, we have the idea of where it goes, and we see the dimensions playing in sub variables into the data set. Again, the issue of what it is and how to apply to it, and this is a popular platform. I know that some of you are really keen into Excel, so here is how to create that type of chart in Excel. It has a step-by-step how to do that with a template that you downloaded to Excel. Another problem that the textbook talks about to solve quantitative scaling problem, and one of the problems, again, based on what we have talked about, and again, what we have discussed before in module number 4, is the idea of, if you have a large data set, how do you able to capture or to have the user that review your chart to be able to understand what is the small values that are not captured well in the visualization. And this is a problem that we also face. So one of the recommendation of the textbook is divide the graph into 2 graphs. One is the entire set, and the other one is the lowest level, and be able to display and be able for the viewer to look at. This is his perspective. This is not my own perspective, but this is a good way for us to show the parts of the visualization not in one graph but in 2, in order for us to tell the story better. Second recommendation, evolve distribution or rescaling the distribution, so the the people that will see the visualization will have not one dimension, but multiple dimensions in order for us to see what is being done and why is the data being distributed this way. So the issue of rescaling the data, he recommends 3 ways for us to do that. One of the way is square root, is taking the entire set, square root, and so it will give us a small proportion of the data. Other way is to take 50% out of it, or inverse the expression in charge of direction of from the lowest to the highest. And this is his recommendation, how to, when you have a large data set, what do you do and how to do that. So this is an interesting concept. I know that it is probably you will need to think about that in order for you to understand what are you going to do when you're going to apply large data set. So I want in that context to introduce you a new application. It's called Plotly.li. Plotly is an online dashboard, and dashboard has a lot of advantages and a lot of disadvantages. Example, one of the disadvantages of dashboard is that if you have 1 million, 2 million, 5 million or 10 million, you will not be able to upload everything to the dashboard. The dashboard has limitation. So this is part of the problem that they do, but the contribution or the positive notes about Plotly is it allowed us to write the code ourselves or to add code ourselves in order to do that. And so this is the beauty of it. You have the idea of what it is, ability to upload to the file and create a plot. Okay, so how do we start? The website for the dashboard, and again, this is the beauty of the dashboard or the Plotly, is the ability to review other people's work, and you will need to sign up for the dashboard, and then you'll be able to view as an editor or as viewer. The viewers just see the application online, so you'll be able to point out exactly where it is, and it is public. You will also see the data, what is it consist of, and you will see the Python or R application that runs through it in order for us to generate this visualization. And the idea of the plot itself. One of the things that when you are into working in Plotly, one of the idea of the Plotly is, again, when you sign in, you are going to add your dimension, be able to apply to it. And I always forget where I'm at and what browser I'm registered to. And this is my browser, sorry about that. And so in this case, I can import data. I can import data for my desktop. I can upload data from URL. I can run an SQL queries out of it, and I can show you an example from taking from other people, and this is part of the platform. One of the things that I really like about Plotly is the idea of they give you a lot of maneuver with regard to consistency of the visualization. They give you the ability to create a title, ability to have a bar, ability to have size, ability to interaction, and ability to create what type of visualization you want. This is something that, again, one of my biggest problem with Tableau is limitation with regard to the visual option that they provide. And so in this case, they would probably will not author's textbook will not support that, but they give you a lot of options with regard to 3D and a lot of option of simple visualization such as bar, line, area, and counter or table, and again type of visualization. So what I expect you to do, one of the things that Plotly is really good at is the idea of tutorial. And everything in the tutorial, I'm not going to go over every step on the way because probably I would need to speak here for the rest of the semester. But this is how you apply. And if you want this type of visualization, this is how you do that. And again, this is the idea behind it. So you're going to see example, and I will give you the links to it. I hope it will make more sense. I hope you enjoy this experience with Tableau. I know them for a long time now. I will tell you a grandfather story. I met them in 2014 at in California. They presented the same conference that I presented. The interaction was interesting. The work that they do is interesting. They are looking for money. So don't be afraid that every time they will say, okay, how about paying? Don't be afraid. You have the ability to learn before you start paying. And when you get rich, you're going to say, they want cash, and they will ask you for money. So don't be afraid. It's part of the request to make money out of it, but it is a very good platform to test and to explore data before we will take it to other platforms. That's it for now. I hope you enjoy it. Until next time, have fun.